Have you ever wanted more? More money, more success, more power? What if I told you that greed doesn't just take, it traps? This is the story of a man who had everything, yet it was never enough. Until one day, a strange parrot spoke a warning he refused to hear. What happened next will leave you speechless. Stay with me, because this story might just change the way you see wealth forever. Once upon a time, in a bustling town near the sea, lived a wealthy merchant named Dhanraj. He was known throughout the land, not for his kindness or wisdom, but for his never-ending greed. He wanted more gold, more land, and more power. Even though he had a large house, servants, ships, and shops, he was never satisfied. One day, while walking through the town market, he came across a poor bird seller holding a beautiful green parrot in a golden cage. The parrot looked directly into Dhanraj's eyes and said in a clear voice, "Greed is the fire that burns its own master." Dhanraj was stunned. "A talking parrot?" he said, raising an eyebrow. "What else can it do?" The bird seller smiled. "This parrot can see into the future, sir, but it only speaks when the time is right." Dhanraj's eyes sparkled, not because he was amazed, but because he smelled profit. "If I can use this bird to predict business, I'll be the richest man in the kingdom," he thought. "How much for the parrot?" he asked. The bird seller replied, "This bird is not for sale. It only brings wisdom to those who deserve it." Dhanraj scoffed and threw a bag of gold coins on the ground. "Everything has a price," he said. Greed had already blinded him. The poor man reluctantly gave him the cage. As Dhanraj walked away with the parrot, the bird whispered again, "A greedy heart is never free." Dhanraj placed the cage in the center of his grand hall. He invited nobles, traders, and ministers to witness his new fortune teller. For days, the parrot said nothing. Dhanraj grew angry. "Speak! Tell me where to invest! Tell me where gold lies buried!" he shouted. The parrot blinked slowly and finally said, "In the mountains to the west, a hidden cave guards a river of gold. But only the brave and wise shall return." That was enough for Dhanraj. He left that night with his servants and horses and marched westward. After days of travel, they reached the dark mountains. At last, they found the cave the parrot had spoken of. Inside, a narrow tunnel led them to a glowing underground river. Instead of water, it flowed with thick, liquid gold. Dhanraj screamed with joy. He ordered his men to fill every bag, box, and jar. "We are rich beyond our dreams," he laughed. But as they turned to leave, the tunnel behind them began to collapse. The rocks fell, blocking their exit. The golden river shook, and the air became thick and heavy. "We must leave the gold," a servant shouted. "It's not worth our lives." But Dhanraj refused. "No, carry it all. We can dig through. We can—" Before he could finish, the cave shook again. The golden river began to rise like a flood. In the chaos, only 2 servants dropped their bags and managed to escape. Dhanraj, greedy till the end, held on to his gold and was swallowed by it. When the news reached the town, people were shocked. The mighty merchant who wanted everything had lost everything. The parrot, still in the golden cage, finally spoke once more. "Those who chase gold and ignore wisdom drown in their own desire." The bird seller returned, and the parrot flew to his shoulder. "He wasn't ready," the seller said softly. "The parrot speaks only to those who listen with their hearts, not their hunger. Greed blinds the wise, deafens the kind, and buries the foolish. True wealth lies not in gold, but in wisdom, honesty, and peace of mind. Greed never leads to true success. No matter how much you have, if you always crave more, you'll never find peace. True success is not in wealth, but in contentment. Wisdom is greater than wealth. The parrot's words were more valuable than gold, but Don Raj ignored them. Knowledge and wisdom can open doors that riches never can. Listen to the signs. Life often gives us warnings, but if we are too blinded by greed or ambition, we fail to see them. Pay attention to the lessons around you. The price of greed is everything. Don Raj had wealth, power, and status, but in the end, his greed took it all away, even his life. Wanting too much can cost you everything. True riches lie in gratitude. A heart that appreciates what it has is richer than one that constantly seeks more. Happiness comes from valuing what you already possess. Fortune without wisdom is a trap. Money without understanding leads to destruction. The greatest asset is not gold, but the ability to use it wisely. Freedom lies in letting go. Don Raj held on to gold, but in the end, it trapped him. Sometimes the key to success is knowing when to let go.